Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I wanted to do a quick video to address the comment that I got on this video that I've sort of been goaded into. But no, this is good, because I think I wanted to clear this up. I've actually been wanting to do a video on somewhat Stoic philosophy. I still need to go in and do some more in-depth videos. So I did this video on expecting everything to be screwed up, so it is. You can check it out here. And on that video, I actually got this pretty insightful comment that I'd like to address from Abraham Lincoln, the Abraham Lincoln. So he says, I have to respectfully disagree to some extent. I was just curious about this and negative visualization, where you visualize what's wrong so you can know what can go wrong beforehand and be ready to fix it, or at least you can imagine yourself, if you fail, remaining calm during the situation. I know that astronauts are taught this technique to know what they do if something went wrong. From what I've read on the law of attraction, it seems like it's saying you shouldn't visualize at all what will go wrong and pretend everything is okay, even if knowing what can go wrong can save your ass. Furthermore, and I'm still waiting on you to continue your series on Roman virtues, by the way. Oh, okay, the Roman virtues, that's what, I do need to go through that again, continue that. Yes, I did one on gravitas here, which is an awesome one, but I need to go through some of the other Roman virtues, definitely. The ancient Stoics also would in the morning visualize things they could lose and what could go wrong. That way they'd be prepared if it happened and better appreciate what they do have. Once again, it seems the law of attraction goes against this. However, many Stoics led very successful lives, i.e. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, etc. All this being said, I believe you're more talking about not believing in success at all, which I agree is very counterproductive. You should definitely try to strive towards goals and keep a good attitude. Also, in my mind, it's not about trying to think about success, but internalizing your goals to be the best you can, i.e. the game of tennis. You shouldn't keep thinking, I'm going to win, which will result in much stress if you start to lose. You should just focus as hard as you can on the game and your performance for greater results and a good chance at turning around the game if you start to lose. Anyway, John, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the matter. So, Abraham Lincoln, I do have some thoughts. I think in part that you watched the video and you already knew what I was saying, and I don't think there was any misunderstanding at all. I don't think you actually disagree with me, but you are sort of one of those, question askers who raises their hand knowing the answer but asking a question for the sake of other people in the room, and I think that's what you've done here. Brilliantly played, and I commend you for it, and thank you actually, because I just stepped out of the shower, I saw this, and I was like, oh, I gotta go answer this video right now, even though I wasn't planning on doing videos tonight, because yes, there's some confusion here possibly. So what am I saying here? First of all, do I agree with the ancient Stoics about visualizing the worst? Do I agree with the astronaut training, which I've heard about? I think it was is it in Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect, which I did a review on? I think that might be where he talked. I mean, this is talked about in multiple places, but I know that in The Obstacle is the Way, one of my favorite books. You can check that out here. You can check out the review I did. Anyway, that it's mentioned, right? This idea of visualizing, what is the worst that could happen? This is an ancient Stoic practice. I totally agree with this practice, right? I visualize in my head. This is what I do, okay? I'll tell you what I do, and then, you can kind of gather from there. So, what I do, the way I approach life, is I visualize for things that I do what the worst that could happen is. Okay, so I think about the worst that could happen, right? I think about what is the worst thing that could happen in this situation. How could things go wrong, right? And how bad could they go wrong? And then I am willing to accept that. If I'm not willing to accept that, then I try to mitigate the downside as much as possible, right? And you'll hear about this. Actually, this is a strategy that Trump does in The Art of the Deal, and he mentions, I did a book review on that one, and he talks about, and a lot of smart investors do this, is they only take deals where there's very limited downside risk, right? So I'm sort of combining a few things here, right? I'm combining, one, the Stoic principle of imagining the worst thing that could be possible, right? And the same thing what they do with astronaut training, right? That kind of thing. I'm also employing what Warren Buffett, what trump what a few really good investors do. I think Peter Thiel is within this group. I think he wrote about this, which is to minimize the downside, right? So that even the worst possible scenario is not so bad, to do things that have unlimited upside. Remember, I did this video on do things that have unbounded upsides, which you should do. And right, and so I'm doing that. And then the third thing that I'm doing here is that when I go into the situation, I'm expecting, I'm hoping, I'm counting on winning. I'm counting on the best. I'm coming in there prepared to take no prisoners and to win decisively, to conquer. Okay, that's what I'm visualizing in my head when I go into battle, is destroying my opponent. Not the worst thing that can happen. I've accepted in my heart that the worst thing that can happen, I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to take that. If the outcome, if the fates turn against me, right? If the gods are not in my favor, then, and I must be slain on the battlefield, then I must be slain on the battlefield. Fine, I'm willing to accept that, but I am not going to take it lying down. I am coming in expecting to win. And so in that video, what I was talking about was doing that. What I was talking about was not having the attitude, coming in, expecting to lose, waiting for the world to prove that you are right, that you are a loser, that you just got dealt a bad hand in life, and that the fates are conspiring against you. See, told you so, I couldn't do it. I knew that bad things were going to happen to me. That is not the attitude to have, okay? So, and this is where it does mix into the law of attraction, right? Don't think about bad things. Think about good things. Plan for good things, right? Keep your mind focused on the goal, on achievements, on reaching what you want, not on the bad things that happen, because you're going to be drawn. It's just like, you know, when you're riding a bike or driving the car, right? Your dad said to you, he said, "Hey, wherever you turn your head, that's where it's going to go." Or when you're learning to pitch a baseball, right? And your dad's like, "Hey, wherever you look, that's where the ball goes." Okay, so look at me in the chest and throw it, right? You remember that? Okay, so that's the thing. It's important not to confuse this. Yes, preparation. Go for it. Think about the worst thing that's going to possibly happen and prepare for it and accept it in your heart and be ready to accept that, to pay the price if it must, right? So it's not a shock. So when it happens, you're like, okay, I was prepared for it. It's fine. I knew that this could happen, and I accepted it long ago. It's not a shock to me, okay? So that's the Stoic part of it. Number two, if it's an unacceptable loss, mitigate the downside or don't embark on that. If you're not willing to accept it and it's not smart, try to see what can you do to reduce that downside. Part of thinking about the worst thing that can happen is also visualizing so that you can mitigate damage. So you can say, hey, how can I reduce the downside on this? How can I rearrange this deal, restructure this thing, approach this in a different way so that there is not a destructive downside, that the worst thing that can happen is not that bad, right? Or if you can't do anything, then just accept it. Okay, I could get cancer and die. Fine, got it. All right, we're moving on. And then the third thing is the law of attraction, and also just the mental positive attitude of, okay, when you go into combat, when you go into battle, when you execute the plan, focus on winning, focus on succeeding, focus on giving your best and doing your best. Don't fret about whether you're winning. Focus on the goal. Put your eyes on the target. You want to throw that ball right at their chest. You got to look at their chest, right? You want to drive that car in the lane, you got to look forward, right? You want to ride that bike, you got to look in the direction. You want to shoot that arrow, you got to look at the target. That's what you do. What you don't do is you don't look where you don't want the ball to go. You don't look where you don't want the arrow to go and think about the failure then. You should have done that ahead of time, all right? You're already accepted, prepared, it's buried. You're fine with the worst case scenario, and you've tried to mitigate it, and now you're going in for the kill. So that's all I got to say about that. I think that clears it up. Like I said, Abraham Lincoln, I think you pulled a fast one on me and got me to do a video about some Stoic philosophy. Well done, sir. Well done to you. Anyway, if you like this video, click the subscribe button. That's something that you can do. You won't regret it. The worst that could happen is that you'll have to watch more of my videos, and that's a good thing. So anyway, I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Share this with a friend. See you later.